Yo, what is going on, everyone? This is your host, Tarod Rashawn, and you are now listening to the TARODCAST podcast. If you are new to TARODCAST and this is your first time listening, welcome. If you are a returning listener coming back for another weekly dose of awesome conversation, welcome back. Now, at TARODCAST, you can take everything we say with a grain of salt. We simply just want to add some flavor to your meal. So if we're doing that, then we are doing our job. And we've got a really good episode for you guys today. And it is one that I feel really needs to be talked about, really needs to be considered, especially when it comes to relationships that form into marriages. And so we're going to dive into something incredibly huge. So today's topic is marrying your best friend. This is TARODCAST. Let's get it. All right. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day, despite all this coronavirus, COVID-19 stuff that's happening. I hope everybody is, staying safe, being responsible, maintaining good hygiene, all of that stuff. But again, I am your host, Tarod Rashawn, and you are listening to TARODCAST. And so just a couple of housekeeping things that I want to go over. If you would like to take our show with you on the go, just know that we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, SoundCloud, CastBox, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. So if you've got a podcast player, podcast provider that you specifically like to use, and you want to make sure you continue to get your weekly dose of TARODCAST, make sure you subscribe to any one of those items that we just listed, and you will have us all the time. Also, if you are in the market for natural oils for ultimate hydration and care for your hair and skin, hit up my girl Sky at the Resilient Lotus at www.resilientlotus.com. The link is always going to be in our show notes. And if you are going to make a purchase, if you use the promo code TARODCAST, TARODCAST, you will receive a discount on your purchase. So I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who is looking to support another Black-owned business, another local business here in Oklahoma. Support the Resilient Lotus. We appreciate that. She would appreciate that. So anyway, let's get into the subject. The subject is marrying your best friend. Now, first, what I want to get into is defining what is a spouse. So what is a spouse? And a spouse to the world, in the most traditional sense possible, is the person whom a person has decided to marry. Typically, leading up to that marriage, that person is initially the one that provides or gives you butterflies when you first meet them. And I'm using this you not as you, but more like an understood you. So general you is what I mean here. So if you hear that, that's the you I'm talking about. So typically that person, when you first meet them, is the one who gives you the butterflies in your stomach. It's like, ooh, this person, oh my God, like they give me tingles, they give me butterflies. Even though butterflies are nothing but anxieties. People don't really think about that, but yes, butterflies indeed are anxieties when it comes to especially being in another person's presence. It's not really a comforting thing if you really think about it. But let's dig a little bit deeper. So for those who have wives, the wife is thought to be specifically the caretaker of the home, caretaker of kids, and the manager of the money flow. And so you'll see in relationships, especially the old school ones, the wife handles all the bills and make sure that money goes here and there, provides for the kids, gets them up, dressed, making food, making the meals, different things like that. Just generally taking care of the home. But oftentimes, in this particular and traditional sense, the needs, wants, and desires are secondary to the husbands. For many wives, in this sense, the enjoyment of being the supporter to the house is all they need, but others suffer with this expectation. So I think about this, and I say this because, again, in the traditional sense, when we look at the role of being a wife, it is to be the helpmate. It is to be the supporter. It is to be the backup, in a sense, to the husband's lead. And basically, in looking at it from that perspective, it dwindles down that woman's value. If this is all that they are, and this is all that they're expected to be, then what more are they required to offer? What more are they allowed to offer? Also, wives are thought to be sexually submissive and open to any and all desires of the husband. Now, this doesn't always have to be a bad thing. However, it also leads to a lot of issues, especially if the wife doesn't feel like being sexually intimate with the husband, but because she is the wife, her wants and needs play second fiddle to the husband's wants and needs. And so if the husband wants her body, then the wife must give him her body. Also, wives are expected to bear children and maintain birth control methods to prevent any additional or unplanned pregnancies. And so, yeah, when it comes to that, the wives have to adjust their bodies. They have to adjust what they do in order to prevent children from being born in an unplanned way. Also to prevent the possibility of even having an abortion. Wives tend to be under an expectation, for the lack of a better word, to not only take care of themselves, but to also take care of their husband by taking care of themselves in this particular way, whether it's something that is that goes inside of a woman to block sperm cells from reaching the egg, or whether it's a pill that regulates hormones, whatever the case may be, getting tubes tied, which eventually leads to hysterectomies. It's the woman taking care of this is ultimately what is also taking care of the husband in this particular sense. And lastly, I also see that wives are subject to being the emotional punching bags for husbands who have yet to confront their innermost issues. They are the ones who, as the man is actually getting to a point where he wants to, or is rather having to, being forced to acknowledge things about himself, the wife typically ends up being the one who suffers the worst of those realizations, because they're the one at home. They're the one that the husband is used to. They're the one that is expected to be able to handle this weight. Yeah. So that is how, in the traditional sense, wives are seen when it comes to their husbands. Now, for those who have husbands, the husband is seen as the provider of the home and typically the primary breadwinner. They are typically considered the man of the house. And since they are considered the man of the house, it is known that he is the ultimate gate to any and all decisions made in the home. Now, many husbands are content with how they feel about themselves and women, but in this contentment, there is little room, I have noticed, for evolution of thought pertaining to gender roles. You know, men being the ones who are thought to do the most. It also inspires a certain freedom for the husband to come and go as he pleases, because he has accepted the responsibility of being the man of the house. And so what right does a woman, especially the wife, have to question what he does? Decisions have to go through him anyway. And so basically that type of thinking is what leaves many wives stuck in the realm of what is expected of them as opposed to who they are. And with that, there are some husbands who believe in happy wife, happy life, but only consider their own life being happy and less problematic, and not their wife's overall well-being. And so it's this kind of thinking that drives many husbands to consistently do the bare minimum in order to keep the drama at a bare minimum. And that can only carry one through a situation for so long, because eventually you're going to have to step out of the 1 foot shallow end of the blow up kiddie pool and actually jump into the 6 foot deep end of the regular pool. And I don't think that a lot of husbands are mentally prepared to handle those types of conversations. I also feel that sexually, the wife is expected to do and be everything he needs and asks, even if she doesn't feel like it. And again, just like I said before, this is where when the husband comes home and he wants to have sex and the wife doesn't really want to have sex, but because he is the husband and what he say goes, the wife must then offer up her body to him for his pleasure and gratification. basically offering herself to be used as a human fleshlight. If you don't know what a fleshlight is, I recommend looking this up on Google, but not while you're at work. Okay? Not while you're at work. You're not about to get in trouble and then blame it on me. You're not about to blame it on TARODCAST. Okay? I'm not going to let you do that. But yeah, they're expected to offer up their bodies, whether or not they actually want to. And so because of this, we are often taught to look at our spouses as a set of expectational responsibilities and behaviors and not as full people. And this is what leads many husbands to look at their wives as the naggy ball and chain after a certain period of time. I've heard this before. I've seen this before. You know, seeing our spouse as a set of expectations is what causes us to develop a separate set of expectations for other people. And these separate expectations can be drastically lowered to fit a comfort zone that isn't explored with our spouses. Now that's robbery. Because if you amass enough people who fit this unexplored comfort zone, then you run the risk of seeing your spouse as an enemy. Yeah, it's true. You know? Because lack of communication and, here's that magic word again, introspection regarding what you feel on the inside can cause all kinds of problems. Because if you're going somewhere else to someone who you have looked at and deemed worthy of another set of expectations that fit another comfort zone for you, then that is breaking loyalty. It's breaking trust. To me, one of the biggest causes of marital stress is not fully understanding or treating the needs of your partner as important to the health of the relationship. In fact, it is the disregard of one's needs in favor of the preservation of expectations. The keep doing what you do and I'll keep doing what I do. But it's also the failure to realize that it goes way deeper than that. And so before I run off too far on a tangent, I'm going to take a quick break. So I've got my water bottle here, going to get hydrated. I encourage you to do the same. And we are going to be right back because next I want to go into what is a best friend. Because the topic is talking about marrying your best friend. So what is a best friend? So we're going to jump into that here shortly. This is TARODCAST, and we'll be right back. Yo, what's good, everyone? This is your host of TARODCAST, Tarod Rashan, and I just want to welcome you to the commercial break. Now, you already know what time it is. It's hydration time. Get some high-quality H2O in your system now. Got a few things I'd like to go over. First, to all of our new and returning listeners, thank you so much for your ear and your time. To all of our Patreon supporters, I just want you to know that we are not able to do this without your direct support. So the biggest, dopest TARODCAST thank you goes out to you. If you're listening in and you're thinking about becoming part of the TARODCAST Patreon family, we'd love to have you. You can find us at www.patreon.com/TARODCAST. Now on Patreon, we have 3 tiers of support. a $2 tier, a $3 tier, and lastly, a $6 tier. Each tier comes with its own set of unique perks, so if you find one that fits you, sign up. For us, the main thing is keeping our subscription prices affordable. We know that you work hard for your money, and if you choose to support TARODCAST this way, we truly want to make it worth your time. To find out more about our Patreon and the perks with each tier, visit www.patreon.com/TARODCAST. We've got it all laid out for you. Also, we've got a merchandise store. Pick up some tees, hoodies, leggings, and more at forevercertain.redbubble.com. All proceeds go right back into the TARODCAST podcast and allow us to keep making high quality content for people just like you. For our listeners out there who would like to support us in a non-monetary way, we'd love that too. Share our show with people you know. Also, share us on your social media. And if your favorite TARODCAST streaming service allows you to rate and review our show and you're loving what you're hearing, take some time and leave us a 5-star review. Ratings and reviews are what set us apart from other podcasts and also helps us to recommend our podcast to other listeners we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to reach. Lastly, if you'd like to reach out to us directly, email us at TARODCAST@CRTN-T.com. That's TARODCAST@CRTN-T.com. All of this information can always be found in our episode notes, so make sure to check there if you forget any of the information we just went over. Once again, thank you all so much, and let's get back to the program. All right, y'all, we are back from break. We got hydrated, and now we are going to talk about what is a best friend, especially in the scope of marrying your best friend. We got to talk about what a best friend is. So a best friend to me is anyone who knows you, trusts you, uplifts you, and corrects you, all for the sake of loving you and seeing you progress and be the very best person you can be. Now, a lot of us have best friends that we meet when we're young. We're in school, making our way through school, whether it's elementary, middle school, high school, and we grow up with these people, and we even meet new people as we go through these developmental stages. And also we obtain them in places like school, like higher learning, college, tech school, whatever, work, other social activities or activities with common interests. We find people, we develop those relationships, we begin to speak to one another, and then in speaking we begin to exchange energy, and that energy turns into friendship. And for a lot of people, that friendship evolves into a best friendship. And because of that, I also feel that best friends can be as close to us as siblings can be, but also be completely different people from who we are and who our siblings are, which to me creates a sort of balance in personality and traits. I also feel that best friends are oftentimes the people that we run into when we are faced with difficulties in any aspect of our lives, really. Because our best friends are normally the ones who see us at our worst and help us get back up to our best. And it's this type of influence that a best friend has that really shapes us, because whether it's good decisions or decisions that will more so create a story or a memory, I'm going to put it that way. Those types of decisions, they're typically right there, front and center for that experience. If they're going to put you up to it, they're also going to see you through it, if that makes sense. And because of that, I also believe that you don't have to build a best friend into the person that you envision, because you already love them, you cherish them, you accept them as they are, and they hold value based on their character and their traits, and not how they appear next to you in a photo. And as I say that and I think about that, I think about the culture that we are in now, where social media is the open window to viewing our lives. And because it is the open window, we want to put out an image that our best friends are the people who you always see smiling with us in our photos, because our best friends are the ones who are with us when life is at its peak. But what we also fail to realize is that our best friends are also with us when that window to our life is shut and we're stuck in bed from depression or anxiety, or something horrible has happened. Someone that we loved has died, or we suffer the emotional ramifications of a failed relationship. Our best friend is also there at that time as well, whether they are bringing us some ice cream or staying by our sides as we watch movies and just dissect everything we're feeling, or if they're planning to do a 187 on the motherfucker that broke your heart. They are the ones who are going to see you through a situation and help you to understand the value of what it is that you experienced, and to help you understand that you still have the power to move and to push forward. And that's why I also believe that the loyalty of a best friend never has to be questioned, because it's felt, it's recognized, it has intrinsic value. To me, it is the feeling of an unbreakable bond that speaks to the connection felt between one another. You're always on the same team. You're always on the same team, even when you disagree. There is a love that seeks to preserve that friendship at all costs. It gives you permission to explore everything necessary to maintain the health and wellness of this relationship. It makes it sacred. It makes it sacred. I also believe that best friends, whenever they get to a point where they disagree, I feel like best friends seek to argue and fight fairly. There's no low blows. There's no digs at character. There's no drudging up past happenings and using it as ammo. It's the filtering through of the heightened emotions and finding and arriving at a solution. It is what gives these individuals the reassurance that they have one another for life. They have one another despite anything that happens. Nothing can break what they have built and cultivated together. That is magical. I don't care what anybody says. That right there is magical. And very few people understand what that truly means, especially outside of the superficial sense. Because there can be a lot of people out here who say, that's my best friend, go best friend, that's my best friend, best friend, best friend. But the moment they do something that they don't like, the moment that they step outside of an expectation, they then become the enemy. And so for me, I do not take the title of best friend lightly. I don't assign it to someone that can be here today and gone tomorrow. To me, that doesn't make sense. Because this kind of person is the person who sees you in every shade of existence that your life goes through. From the lightest shades to the darkest shades. They see it all. They see the entire color gradient of your life, and they love you anyway. So that leads me to this question. Can best friends ultimately become spouses? My answer is yes, because it happened to me. So after this next break, I'm going to go into the thought process of marrying your best friend and what that actually means and what that brings to you. So with this commercial break, make sure you are staying hydrated, and we're going to jump right back into it. Okay? Okay. This is TARODCAST, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all are staying hydrated, staying safe, washing your hands, and saving tissue for everybody else out here. We are going to dive in what it means to marry your best friend. So I think we should go ahead and get this music turned off now. There we go. So what does it mean to marry your best friend? So to me, it is to have your best friend, your soulmate, your twin flame, however you would like to call them, journey with you as you navigate life. And for me, being married to my wife, I don't look at her as my wife. I don't want to assign that category to her, because looking at her as my best friend is so much more valuable to me. It's something that doesn't even require us to wear wedding rings. You know, it's something that I'm not going to get mad if the ring is not on her finger. Why? We already know what we have because she is my best friend. So we are each other's symbol of that union. I also believe that when you marry your best friend, you understand that in your union, you are still two uniquely created individuals with various needs and desires. I believe that you see each other not as expectations, but as equals. And where one is strong, the other will be lifted by that strength, and vice versa. You learn from one another. I'm not going to talk about being strong and being weak, because I believe that everybody has the opportunity and the potential to be strengthened by another's strength. It's not that you're weak in that area, it's just that you've yet to become strong in it. It's a different way of thinking. I don't want to use the word weak here. I also believe that you view your best friend as more than the physical being. They are the protector of your emotions and your spirit. They are the ones who hold these things in the highest regard. They don't take how you feel flippantly. They treasure that as much and if not more than their own emotions. When you hurt, they hurt. When you feel, they feel. That's how deep it goes. I also believe that conversations between best friends are always geared towards understanding and stability, even if they hurt. Because it's not the fact that the conversation is hard to have. It's the fact that you all value each other enough to work towards an outcome that, despite however painful it may be, it will allow you to be the best people you can be simply by having it. Now, what I'm about to say next, because this is one thing that I think about all the time. This might sound crazy. It might sound like this can never, ever, ever be done. There's no person in the world that I can trust with what I'm about to say. But I believe that it is possible. So, for me, I've always believed that loving someone is giving someone every possible means to destroy every piece of you, every vulnerability, every hidden secret, every dark corner and crevice of your soul, and trusting that they will protect every piece of you that could destroy you. I had to pause on that one because I believe in that so strongly. Because I also know that that level of love and loyalty is not fit for everyone. Not everyone is able to handle that. They're not able to honor that. So to marry your best friend is to forge a bond with someone that potentially goes against everything you believe marriage to be. But in doing so, you gain something more than just a spouse. You gain something more than a husband. You gain something more than a wife. You gain an entire individual who will never forsake you, who will always have your back, who will always fight fair, who will always look out for you, who will always keep your best interests first, who will always call you out when you're wrong, but at the same time help you get better. That's the kind of person that you will gain. You will end up becoming their comfort, their peace, their meant to be. You will become that rock for a person. And when you become that rock, the foundation that you build is what's going to propel you forward, even when if you decide to have children. A lot of parents say, I'm not one of your little friends, but if our children can see their parents being friends with one another and not just being a husband and wife, then they gain the understanding of what a true friend looks like. And that way, they go about life making friends with people who actually matter, and not making friends for the sake of making friends, because they've been able to witness what a true best friendship looks like from their own parents. So you might want to be one of your child's little friends if you have children. Now, I'm not saying forsake discipline or anything like that, but think about that. Because all I can truly say is marry your best friend now. Quit playing, because you might have a good ass life. So with that being said, y'all, marrying your best friend is something that when you realize everything that you've been missing, when you realize just how integral this person is in your life, and the values and the traits and the characteristics and everything that they bring to the table actually have kept you sane and have kept you in a sphere of comfort that wipes away all worry and fear when you're with them, that is something you cannot trade. You cannot trade that. So find someone that has undoubtedly given this to you freely, no questions asked. Because if they will freely give it, this means that you will freely have it for the rest of your remaining days. It's not like pulling teeth for this person, because they look at you and they see you as an individual, and they want to contribute. They want to be a part of your life and journey. So doesn't that motivate you to be the same? It should. You just might stumble onto something great. I'm telling you, when I finally got married and realized that the woman that I'm married to right now, my angel, was doing that for me, and I didn't have to ask, that was when I knew I had something incredibly special. So with that being said, y'all, that's our show. That's our show. Y'all know where to find us. You know how to support us. If you can, leave us a 5-star review. As always, I encourage all of you listening today to be more introspective and vulnerable with yourselves and your best friend. Know who you are and love who you are, because they do. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for giving me your ear once again. I really appreciate it. I hope y'all once again are staying safe and are loving one another in this time. And in this time, I want you to also prioritize making every effort to find and keep your peace.